Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. You will know that I know a little bit about immigration, and particularly with what we're facing right now. There's a couple of things that I'd like to say in relation to what the current government is trying to do with this amendment. First of all, you have a government who is trying to convince us that this is not their policy, but they are trying to implement something that was decided in the courts by the Chief Justice. Now, I don't know if you know anything about courts, but whenever a court makes a decision, there's a higher court, and then there's another court. And if you disagree with the decision, you appeal it. In the case of this situation, it is my considered opinion that the Chief Justice of Bermuda, as bright as he is trying to legislate from the bench. And that cannot be right. Not his job. His job is to enforce the law. And so if you want to blame the PLP for creating a bad law that didn't cover all the bases, you amend the law. And if you have a judge who says, this is what it's got to be, everybody gets status, and that's not the intent of the law, then you appeal his decision. You don't just lie down and play dead and assume that he has got it right. I'll go so far as to say, you can do your own research. In the case of the current Chief Justice, if you look at the decisions he's made and the appeals that have been lodged, he's been overturned more times than has been upheld. Now in my world, that means you probably got this wrong too. Now, I know that there's been a whole lot of comparisons between the guy who's in charge now of immigration and me. I also know I stood on this hill several years ago when every union in this country marched on me. They only did it once. Because the difference is, I listen. And that's what the PLP does. It listened to its people and it considered what they had to say. This bill is a threat to every single Bermudian. Every last one of us, okay? Those of us that were born, that have been here for generations, and those of us that are just first generations. It's still your children and your grandchildren's future that is threatened. We cannot allow this to continue. Democracy demands everybody's participation, not just on election day. And I can't tell you, you know I'm a Caribbean person who looks to the Caribbean and is impressed by them. The fact that we are in day 6 says to the world that we are not turning back and we're not going to be the passive, happy Negroes anymore. Now, you may have also heard that the United States representative to this country has warned all of her people to stay away from us because they are in fear of being injured. Right? Yeah. I ain't heard one negative threat around her in the last 6 days. But I should inform her, because I watch MSNBC, that Americans stand a greater chance of getting a bus, you know what, at a Trump rally tomorrow than they do in Hamilton, Bermuda today. Thank you. Part of what our responsibility is to educate our people so that you are operating from a position of knowledge and strength, okay, not ignorance. You will know that the PLP was, I don't know what, criticized. Oh, that's the nicest word I could say in public. Because the people are here, they might steal the rest. For term limits, okay? And you know that even today, it's still being demonized. Term limits was designed to stop the perpetuation of people coming in this country open-endedly and being able to stay forever. Okay? This proposed bill opens those floodgates again. There is no mechanism to say, other than work permits, and you know what they're doing now, other than work permits to say that you have to leave here after a certain period of time. And the suggestion that the people who are PRCs or the people who, the parents of Bermuda, all of this, are disenfranchised and they might get kicked out of Bermuda. And the comparison to the four wiggers we brought in and live in Paget, there's one critical difference. One group has a passport and four don't. One group has a home they can go to and four don't. Don't be misled and misguided into believing that this is about anything other than perpetuating power. Okay? And I know, having served in that office, that every one of you, because I've told you before, has got your favorite foreigner who you'd like to stay here forever. Anybody disagree? Everybody's got their own special favorite foreigner who they want an exception made for. Now that's a nice thing to have friends. But imagine what life would be like if they actually ran home. You'd have somewhere to visit with somebody you know. Because if everybody gets one, that doubles our population. Okay? Now, we keep hearing that we need more people here. Okay? I don't know whether that's true or not. But you cannot tell me that when you have about 6,000 Bermudians who are not working, that bringing some more people up in here to do jobs that Bermudians could do, that they are not going to be able to get a job. I understand the concept of the job makers, but that is 1%. Don't not the people that you come and say, can I take a commercial break right now? I don't see no. But one of the things that's irritated me the whole time I've been up here, it's a little less today. If we're up here again tomorrow, don't go get lunch from Buzz, please. Come on now. Don't go Buzz. At least if you go Supermart, don't unionize. You could go Brunswick Bakery. They gave us lunch on Monday. We should be supporting them. If I had one more thing to say to my fellow Bermudians, and that is, democracy requires our participation every step of the way. Every day, between one polling day and the next day. The people we send up here, and I hope to be one of them one day, they're not banished to Siberia and you can't touch them again. They're part of our community. You see them in the course of your normal activities. You go to the barbershop, you go to the store, you go to church, anywhere. You see any of these people? Don't be afraid to engage. In my barbershop, they talk a whole parlor, as they do in every barbershop on Saturday. And they talk and criticize this government. And I say, where are we having this conversation? They said, in the barbershop. I said, okay, where I got my haircut when I was a minister. Right here. Right got my hair cut now, there's nobody. Right here. I said, so just as you're talking SH to me now, you could talk SH to me when I'm in an office somewhere. And that's what we must do. We cannot withhold our vote and say, oh, I'm going to teach Burch a lesson. I ain't going to speak to him for 3.5 years because he ain't done what he said he's supposed to do. And I'm going to stay home on election day and he ain't going to get no seat. Really? I asked all the people, and I know the 417 people up in C27 who did not vote in the last election. Okay? I marched with a list with the names all in red. I know who they are. And they say to me, you know, why you know I didn't vote? I said, we're not going to have a stupid conversation. We're going to have a real conversation. I know you didn't vote, because 2 of those people in that room marking off your name are mine. And so everybody knows. But what is important is that we participate in the process. Because if you don't, you're responsible for this. You who stay at home trying to teach the PLP a lesson, and I don't know how you fashioned that example, because black people understand better when you cut their ass, okay? As opposed to sit in silence. You know, if you tell me off, you tell me what's wrong, I understand a damn sight better than trying to read smoke signals. We must participate in the process, just as we are now. And so when we go off this hill for one issue, the battle's not over. And I know that someone says the battle's not ours, it's the Lord's. It's ours too. Because there are other issues. There are other things that these people have set in train to come down the pike that we cannot allow to stand. Because they're wrong. And we must hold people accountable. If I say to you, as somebody who aspires to elected office, that we're going to implement term limits and these are the rules, those are the rules. I'm not going to waver from that. You can criticize the PLP all you would, and we are guilty of some things, and for getting some things wrong. And I can get, you know, we didn't get anything, we're human. But we also somewhat lost our way because our people said, oh, I'm going to sit in there and soak it down. Instead of looking at the written promise that we made and the written promise that they made and said, you are not being true to what you promised me you were going to do. You must hold, we must hold our elected people accountable. And when they can't hurt, they must feel. And that's what's going on now. And yes, this is against the law, marching without, you know, a permit and all the rest and all the rest. But they're bright enough to know that they ain't arrested nobody. But, you know, you're not going to make a bad situation for us. But we must stay engaged. And you know, many people say to me, I don't do politics. I'm like, okay, you don't have to do politics. You have children, you want to do education, that's politics. Because they're talking about closing your school. And this is the simple comparison you make. I stand up and say to you, oh, I support you in your children's education. And then I go up to Bermuda College and I charge you 100% of what it costs to go to that place. And then the PLP comes along and says, I support your child's education and I'm going to make it free. You decide. You have free will. I'm no economist, okay, and I'm no self-appointed, whatever they are, all of them around here, they've got to talk about the economy. But I know this much. $2 billion worth of debt is no money. You hear what I'm saying? If you look at the world, it's no money. And it should not render you useless. And while I'm at it, another commercial. There is no $800 million that the PLP stole, okay? Come on now, my people. Think about it. First of all, you ain't gonna believe me. I know we you know, Some people's water and ice is colder than others. Dr. Saul said, you know who that is? He said, no minister has access to the treasury. That's what he said. This board of inquiry that they've got, commission of inquiry, they ain't coming for us, you know. Any of you that are civil servants, they're coming for you. I'm telling you, they're coming for you. We must stand up for what we believe in, and you must hold people accountable. Don't be afraid to approach anybody who you cast your vote for. Don't be afraid to approach anybody who stands up and says, I want to represent you. Because I cannot, and we and they cannot do that if they don't talk to you. And you must hold people accountable for the promises that they made. You heard from a former premier of this country. There's another one down below doing, I don't know what he's doing. But the one you heard from the speaker before me, history will record. And I mean, and declare my interest. Yeah, she's a friend of mine and I support her. But history will record that that lady, I don't know where she is now, will have laid the foundation for justice and fairness in this country in the face of criticism from our own people who believe that stupid paper out on Harleville Road and those people that said that you don't know what you're doing. Well, how's it working out for you now? Because those people said, and a whole lot of our people believed that they were going to be our salvation. Yeah. They were going to produce 2,000 jobs. Yeah. I think they have, actually. All going to foreign. So, you know, they didn't lie. But they were going to make this country better. And it can be. I believe that if you preach doom and gloom, you get a people who have no hope. If you preach optimism, everybody around here will go to work and say, I'm going to work towards making this country better. Okay? But you also got to produce a level of fairness and justice. You cannot have a country where the indigenous population, that means us Bermudians, are treated less than as equals, and others can scale in there. You see it. I don't read them all, but you can guarantee that most of those people that write all that vitriol and racist and nasty stuff about all of us on this hill, if they had any courage, they would sign their name. And I would venture to say, and I can tell you I know, and I'll give you an example. Half of them are not Bermudian. How I know that? There was a complaint in one of the blogs about the ARV is going up for poor people. Now, who in this crowd don't know what an ARV is? Everybody, if you're Bermudian, you know what an ARV is, even if you don't own a damn house. And the question they ask is, can you tell me what an ARV is and why you're complaining? I know the foreigners. I would not dream of going into Jamaica, that I love, and talking about, I'm going to talk anything other than to my people who I argue in politics with. But I hardly am going to go stand up in a public forum in a country that I'm not even a citizen of and criticize the system. But with impunity, they go around here and act like, you know, they are to the manner born. Can't be right. Cannot be right. So I implore my people, stay engaged. If the people who you elect to represent you ain't, switch them up. Do it yourself. It's no special talent. Okay, you don't have to have no special degree from a piece of paper from some university. You don't have to have some special ability. You just have to have a heart. You just have to want to make a difference and help your people. That's all that's required. And trust me, they will stay with you. You ain't heard from me in 3 years. You people talking about you want more. Come on. But I'll end with this. I'll end with this. You know, I am going to end with this. Please don't buy the propaganda. That's the nice word to say. You know I really want to say BS. Please don't buy the BS that the PLP were a failure and done nothing good for this country. Okay? And I'll give you just a couple of examples, because if that was so, what they call that thing, the golf thing? The PGA, which they criticize every year, Doc Editor, but as soon as they got in government, they extended it for 3 years, right? You can't claim and take credit for all the good in the country, and the PLP is responsible for all the bad. Okay, because some of that takes longer than you've been in office. These seeds were planted under a PLP government, okay? You wouldn't have no JetBlue. You wouldn't have no US Air. You're not, not US Air, the other airline. You have, and you look at, and I'm going to make you a promise. They're probably going to make me a liar. I'm going to try. You look at the number of our people who earn their earns in this country under the Progressive Labour Party government. That would have never happened, okay? And if my people didn't buy the propaganda about the first house ever in the history of Bermuda going to fall into Social or Grand Atlantic, we'd have had 54 more others too. I don't understand how you can explain to me that on the 12th of December 2012, the place was going to fall into South Shore, and on the 14th of December 2012, all is well, because they were nice to a certain person who objects to every Christ thing around him. Anyway.
Listen, let's put your hands together here for Colonel David Burch.